everybody. You're listening to the Comic Book Bears podcast. I'm Bill Zanowitz.
I'm Steve Morey.
I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
And we are your hairy, heavy homos that talk about comic books, but you don't have to be a hairy, heavy homo to listen in. You'll notice that we have a fourth person with us that is not Brian Pittard. He's a familiar face to the show, and please welcome back Jon Runyan from A Comic Book Look.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
We saw each other recently. And Caleb and we saw each other recently. And Steve, we'll get to it. So we went to, three of the four of us, went to HeroesCon, the 40th anniversary of the comic book convention held at the Charlotte Convention Center in lovely Charlotte, Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, my God. Stacey Abrams was just on. I'm very sorry. That was this past June 24th through the 26th. We're going to be talking about it, and we're going to be finding out why it was only three of the four of us. And once we get past that, we're going to show you some of the things we got, talk about some of our experiences, and provide what we hope is a really nice little HeroesCon wrap-up show. Yeah. So, Steve, I've been elusive about you, so why don't you tell us what the plan was and what the actuality was?
So, HeroesCon, just for a little background, has been put on for this was actually the 40th anniversary show. Mm-hmm. Has been put on since 1982, sort of like the original sort of Charlotte Con, by Heroes Aren't Hard to Find, which is a store that's been operating in Charlotte since the late 70s. This show is one of the biggest shows in the Southeast in the U.S., where it's an artist, it's a creator, it's a fan show. I mean, this is a show you go to not to see some celebrities who are on, some show or, some promoting some movie. The big publishers don't come and, have their big reveals here. This is the show to go to if you've got a writer or an artist or indie creator that you really want to meet, that you want to talk to. You get to see these people, you get to talk to them, you get to, meet a whole bunch of very like-minded people, and get to see a whole bunch of really cool new stuff that, maybe you hadn't seen before, get to discover some really great creators and work. And of course the vendors are always insane. There's always, if you're looking for something, you're probably going to find it here as well. It's very popular with vendors. This year, of course, was the largest that they've ever made it. They actually took over the entirety of the convention center in Charlotte. So it was really a big floor for everything going on. So our original plan was, because I am actually living relatively close to Charlotte, I was going to be kind of hosting. Bill was going to be flying in. Oh, we lost Caleb. He just kind of disappeared for a bit. He'll be back. Bill was going to be flying in. I was going to be hosting him at my house, and then we were going to drive over to Charlotte. And then, of course, after the show was over, he was going to come back and hang out in the kick-ass metropolis of Winston-Salem. John was also going to be flying in the same day as Bill, and we were going to hang out all day on Thursday, right before the con. Got, really kicked off on Friday, and then just, have just an awesome kick-ass blast of a weekend. Because Caleb was also flying in on Thursday, and basically all the comic book bears would be together. Our good friend John would be there with us as well. It was going to be a huge thing. It would be awesome. Welcome back, Caleb. And then on Wednesday, I wasn't feeling too hot, and I thought, just to be on the safe side, I should probably test myself for this little, cough, cough, sniffle, sniffle that's been going around the past couple of years. And let's just say 4 tests later, I was pretty devastated and trying to figure out how to tell my good friends that I would not be able to see them this weekend because I tested positive for COVID. Yeah, I was feeling pretty awful for several days, not just from being sick, but also missing spending time with the wonderful people that you see on the screen right now, or that you're listening to. So, anyway, but the good thing was I did get to hear about the great times that they had, and got to visit the con vicariously through them. And so I was very happy that they all had a wonderful time, that they got to see a lot of really cool stuff, and got to enjoy one of the best comic conventions that I've ever been to in my life, especially for this 40th anniversary show. So 2023, really looking forward to it, but I'm glad that you guys all made it in, that you had a great time, and as of today, I think everybody's kind of testing negative as well, so not only did you come and not get con crud, you also got to avoid COVID, so yay. So, oh well, that was my experience, but how about your guys' experiences at HeroesCon?
You were like sort of missed, kinda. Yeah, okay. It was weird being by yourself in a hotel room during a convention. That was a little strange. But I wasn't the first night, thanks to John's hospitality. So thank you very much for taking me in, because initially I was supposed to spend the night in Winston-Salem with Steve and then come back up for the show. That didn't work out. I would also like to thank the Marriott Bonvoy program for my elite ambassador membership, because of my time traveling for work pretty much nonstop between 2011 and 2020. And because of that, I was able to book hotels on points at a very quick notice, and especially with the second hotel that I was able to book for the remainder of my Charlotte time, things just couldn't have worked out better. So that was after having a rather frantic Wednesday afternoon after we got the news from Steve. And again, I just was harboring a lot of worry because this was my first flight since 2019. I'm still very nervous about being someone who is into high risk categories, high risk enough that it ensures I'm in the front of the line when these boosters first make their appearance. I did mask the fuck up, and seeing some other people we know receiving tests after the con, I know that I did the right thing, even though it was a bit of a drag, being a bit on the antisocial side, because just wanted to stay safe. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad I went. It would have been better with Steve, let's face it, but we still had a good time without you.
Yeah, well, hey, we actually do have a quick comment I do want to pull up here, because it's always good for Indigo Boost. Mudflat Boy here. Damn, so many hotties in here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
I'll take it. We'll allow it. No, it was fantastic. Yeah, obviously, we got the news about Steve that you weren't going to go. That absolutely put a damper on things. Not only because we were like, oh, we're not going to see you. It's we were all concerned about your health and whatnot as well, and trying to figure out who was doing what. I know, there were so many people at this con that we knew and that we were friends with, and that we were able to introduce John to, and stuff, like people that he didn't know, that we were busy like the whole time. Like, I never quit moving the entire time. And there was always somebody to conversate with, and so there was no lack of people there. But you were on like the short list of like the 4 people that I was looking forward to seeing the most. So it was sad that you weren't there. And I called Bill a few times, like, looking for you. He was like, I gotta find Steve. I was like, shit. So, but I'm glad to see you're doing better. Glad to see you're doing a lot better. And like Bill said, we've had several friends, several folks that I know I was close to and in close proximity to that have tested positive for COVID. Now they're doing fine. I mean, they're a little sick and everything, but they're all vaccinated and whatnot. But I've taken 3 tests since I've been home, and they're all popping up negative. No symptoms or anything like that, so that's good. Yep. I'm going to take that. Not that it would matter, as I just lock myself in my house and study for the stupid test I got to take in a month.
Yeah.
But this was my first time to HeroesCon. I'd never been before, so this very much burst my con cherry when it comes to this. And Steve nailed it. Like, this is a comic book convention. which I really appreciate. And I've had my fair share of C2E2s. I've been to New York Comic Con once. Highly recommend those cons just for the scope and the just the in your face of it all. They're huge and there's something to see everywhere, and it's almost like you're walking through an amusement park half the time. This was a little slower paced, but the comics took front and center. The comic art took front and center. If you wanted Funko Pops and stuff, which again, nothing wrong with that. They were there, but they weren't every other booth. I was talking to some friends last night, and there were more comics in a single booth than I think I saw in all of C2E2 in 2019 when I went. They were just if you were into back issues, if you were looking for omnibus, if you're looking for hardcovers and stuff like that, you were in heaven. Like, you were just a pig in mud, because you couldn't walk 5 feet without flipping through a long box.
Yeah, and absolutely.
That's sort of a great thing, because other than myself and Bill, we've been to HeroesCon several times. I've been there a lot. Bill's been coming to HeroesCon since 2016?
I think 2016, 2017 at the latest. I'd have to take a look, but it's been
because I know you've stayed with me when I was living in Charlotte, and also in Winston as well, coming down.
Yep.
But for you two, because this was your first HeroesCon, seeing it, I mean, like, it's really good to kind of hear your experience and your impressions of it, having been to other cons before, because it's a great con for people coming for the first time. It's a real big difference if you've been used to more like a Wizard World or like a fan con, a fan expo type con, or just a giant spectacle like C2E2 NYCC or SDCC. So, yeah. That's good. John, what was your impression?
Me?
Yep.
If I were to sum up what we accomplished, I would have to say it's #HotBearSummer. First of all, because we rocked it and we had a good time, and we brought that good spirit, and it was just really fun shaking hands and meeting different people. And Caleb, getting to meet you was really cool, and I'm looking forward to doing a comic book look with you at some point too. So it's so cool. So Brian, I got a bounty on you, baby. It's not your neck. So gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
Honestly, Steve, to your point, this is my first time to this show, you guys, and it was very humbling. So my joke was, "Oh, I'm not in South Dakota anymore," but it's true. Regionally, we get those Wizard Worlds, the Galaxy Cons, which are all great shows. SuperCon in town. So we have shows, but this was truly that next step up. And for me, I describe it as I was talking to several customers today and yesterday about it, and I described it as comic book heaven. So I'm like, this is what it looks like when I die. It was great. It was just long boxes everywhere, shopping for days. I am one issue away from completing Werewolf by Night Volume 1, and I was not that close going into the show. That was naughty. It's great. So I also just got to say, this was completely switching up my workflow at a convention, and I talked to Bill about this and you, Steve, beforehand. Normally when I go to shows, I'm the guy that's waiting in line getting books signed that I already own. And this time I was like, I got this big wish list. I'm gonna go hit those long boxes and short boxes. And it just allowed me to spend more time with Bill. So I was like, living my best Analyt's life, and it was just really fun because, we're just both doing our thing and we're side by side in the boxes. And Bill has this tendency of just getting me in a little bit of trouble, just a hair. Like, oh, hey, I found this small pocket of Doctor Strange. Or Werewolf by Night. Go to the next booth and scout it out for you. Thanks, Bill. But Bill is an excellent wingman with comic book hunting, you guys, because he's like, he knows what I'm after, and so he finds all these cool things that I would never have even seen. All these Marvel sub-series that we talked about, Tower of Shadows and all that. I learned so much, and that's the one thing about me, is that I'm a humble student with all this, because everybody has different experiences and more experience in most cases, and I'm just soaking it up. Like, this is an opportunity, so I never see it as talking down to me. If anything, give me that, because I want to run with that information and tear it up. So this was just a really cool way to refill my cup as a comic book fan, and I walked away from the show incredibly happy. And so yeah, it's a great show. I am 100% looking at going next year. The con rates for the hotel don't come out until the fall. I'm already looking at booking in September because I'm not effing around. Like, I want my room and I want to go to the show. We'll see. So I'll let you guys know when that happens. But
we booked we booked super early, and then I got in trouble for it. So
Ooh.
I took Bill's suite.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
the hotel took Bill's suite.
Yeah, and then the hotel took it.
Yeah.
Well, while we've been talking here, we've got a couple more hellos. We've got
Hey, Tony.
Jacobson. Hello, comic book bears.
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
We have to talk Tony into going into a show with us.
Yep.
And my masked brother, John Westoff.
John Westoff.
Hello.
Throwing out the horns.
So good seeing
John,
John after a
hello.
number of years in person.
Yeah. And
Yep.
unfortunately, I miss seeing John too, because I know,
Yep.
John was there. I want to lavish all the praise on Part-Time Comics this time around too. So
Yep.
oh well, sorry, John, I missed you.
But just a few other things. Whether people know or not, this was the first time Caleb and I met in person.
Yeah.
And it was surreal. I mean, it really was, because you get used to a personality not being there in person,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so happy we finally got time to spend together, man. I'm so happy.
That seriously, it was. I'm gonna get mushy. Being able to give you a hug, being able to see you in person, because I've been doing comic book bears with you guys for, I think, almost going on 2 years now. But I've known you for about 6 years. Like, we have been friends for a very long time, and we have built a very good and solid friend. People that you are one of the people I speak to every day. I've got one of my best friends. I've got friends here that live 15 minutes down the road. I don't speak to them every day. Like, we have our relationship. We bounce back and forth. I speak to you every day. We talk every single day. And after all that time, to be able to finally, like, just see you, and I mean, immediately, just like, just embraced one another, wrapped our arms around one another. One of the best things that happened this weekend. Like, that is one of the highlights of this trip. And for me, it really was, it was seeing you, but it was the people. As much as I love, I had a blast, for you guys flipping through the long boxes and going bin diving and stuff. I'm actually a little bit jealous. I didn't do a whole lot of that. I earmarked most of the spending money I had on art.
Yeah.
So I was able to pull some stuff like that, but I was doing the art hustle the whole time. And also because I'm me and I brought like 17 outfits. I didn't have any more room in my suitcase to take stuff home. So it worked out. But it was being with the people. It was seeing, all the guys that we roomed with, friends from the EOC community that we've known forever, friends from the bear community that we've known forever. Getting to hang out with John. It was as much fun as we had on the con floor. It was going to dinner. It was meeting up for drinks. It was hanging out. It was going to lunch. It was those little things, just like a kid in a clubhouse. It was, it's like, it reminds me of being a child, and the first day when you're back at school and you haven't seen all your friends over the summer, and you just look around and all of your best friends that you're in school with are just hanging out on the playground, and you're like, oh, this is why I love school. Like, I had, like, the first night, I was just, number one, I was drunk, but number two, I was just grinning like a little monster. And I think I forget if it was you or who it was. They're like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I'm just happy. Like, I'm genuinely happy. Like John, I am absolutely planning on, if my schedule lets me, planning on going back here. This actually, if I get away with it, if I can have my way with things, I think HeroesCon is going to be like my annual con. If I get to go to other cons, great. HeroesCon is going to kind of be my focal point, because it is a place that feels like home. It is a place that feels like the type of con I want to go to. And it's convenient. Like, the convenience of having the Westin Hotel just right there, and just being able to walk across the street, walk back, go to Whole Foods. The most convenient convention I've been to ever.
I don't know how many times I can expand it out to the two that I get through the Ambassador Elite program that I'm part of. But one thing I wish I could have extended to everybody was the breakfast at the West, in which John was my partner for 2 of the days. And we had the most fantastic waitress on the second day. Oh my God. The first day I partook of the lox, that was out there, the smoked salmon. It wasn't there. John was disappointed because he wanted it, and our waitress brought it out, and she was just a panic of like, on the other table they wanted it. I said no, just you. So there's so many ancillary things outside of the con that you appreciate, and but within the con, Caleb, I think you hit it. It's a couple of different cons in one. I'm in a situation where I'm older than the rest of you, so it's not as easy for me to stand as long and walk as long. So I'm very dependent upon panels to make it through the day. And I have to say that was a treat to have so much good programming. And I'll go over that as we go into the con about some of the things that I saw. John did join me for one, and Caleb went to another one that someone within our orbit was the host of, and that a particular topic on that. But you could make it your own con if it was your original art. My God, you had so much there to enjoy. If you were there to meet creators, you had that. If you were there to bin dive, you had that. Steve, it actually was a little bigger than I've seen it before. If you remember that general area where we were, where they put the mystery machine and Ecto One, and we have a funny story about Ecto One. That whole area was filled with artists, so they moved it out. I can also imagine that it would have been just a little bigger than usual, just being as far as I know, like the first one in the area back. I know that they had the smaller con, their smaller version. Last year, was it
No, actually, this year they did
a mini con.
Yeah, they did a mini con. It was sort of a test run, more or less. And it was okay, but it was still kind of, there was still sort of a concern there. It was a much smaller space in the convention floor. And not as heavily attended, but it was just sort of like a test run for Heroes. They wanted to get out there and have something.
Well, New York was very much the same way. I mean, it was undersold deliberately, and didn't have as much content or as much as many exhibitors. Before I forget, I would like, on behalf of Steve and myself and John, to thank Carla Southern for approving us for press passes. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much, Carla.
Love to attend that
see you next year.
Any show that way, and we did say why you were gone there, Steve, so you don't get on any kind of blacklist.
I mean, Carla's a joy, and that's another thing too. And this goes out for anybody who's listening who is a professional or has done press in the past. Carla and before Carla, I believe it was Rico Renzi.
Rico Renzi was doing it,
at Heroes, do such an amazing job in organizing it, and are extremely, extremely easy to work with. When you're communicating for press passes, for information, everything, they are on it, and they are really quick at getting back to you, and are very thorough with the information. So it's it's definitely very easy for professionals, for press, for people who are going to the con to represent themselves and or their work to work with. So and that is another reason why, from a professional standpoint, HeroesCon is a really great con. To attend to and to work with. So, real quick, we've got a couple more people who've joined us. David Toby, hello, gentle folk. Hello, David. And we did have Brian pop up. Hello, Brian, brother Brian. What's my bounty worth to you, John? And
you spelled booty wrong.
Well,
according to Caleb, it's 5. So
I'm just saying, it's worth more. I'm just saying I got 5 on it.
And John, of course, John's response here. I mean, obviously, you can read it out. But Brian did respond as well. Seattle's not as far as Charlotte, just saying.
Yeah,
we were talking about that.
Yeah, we were definitely talking about it. I don't know if I can make it happen for next year, but we have to do Emerald City at some point. We just have
someday,
to.
for sure. Absolutely. Seattle's a beautiful city, and the con I hear is just a wonderful con too. So
yeah.
We did have a response from Tony Gilkinson here as well. Can't wait to hang at a con with you guys. For now, I'm in Detroit Rock City for 2 more weeks for work. So enjoy.
I've been there, brother. I've been there.
I've been there too, shockingly.
And the burbs.
Yeah, but
surrounding Detroit.
CC. Yeah, you know what mile road you're at is half of the conversations that get started there. So, but yeah.
Just before we get moving, on my second point, Steve, have you ever attended the art auction before? Because all 3 of us went to that on Saturday, and that was something else.
Yeah,
I've actually not attended the art auction because mostly when I was just going there myself, just as a regular Joe, I usually just went home after the main part of the show every day. But that
in
art
your
auction,
pre-comic book bear life.
in my pre-comic book bear life. But yeah, I've heard that it's always a very interesting event every year, and sometimes with some good gossip, sometimes with some crazy gossip. But yeah, you guys need to talk about that if you know.
If I didn't know better, I would have thought that it was kind of like the 4-H club, where that's kind of like a mechanism to provide for inheritances without paying taxes. With the let's call inflated prices that some people paid, but we'll get to it when we get to it.
So, Bill, before we move on to that, though, you guys mentioned how great the staff were with the press pass and stuff like that. I just wanted to, in general, say how awesome it was for the staff to honor passes that were bought in the past. I bought my tickets in 2019. Right, so the tickets I used this year, I bought in 2019. My first year of law school. I was going to get to finally come out to Charlotte, go to Heroes, and meet everyone. And then the pandemic hit. HeroesCon got together and they made sure that everybody, literally through 3 years, was aware that, hey, we are going to honor those tickets. We don't want to give you a cash refund. If you really want one, we can, but we would love to just hold on to it, and we will honor those tickets in the future. And they did. They absolutely did, and I really appreciated that because it's something I was looking forward to, and it was a situation where I got to use it now, and it was 100% worth it. So, other cons did not do that. There were other places that either issued partial refunds or stuff like that, and you just lost it. So for the fact that they honored those tickets from 3 years ago. I'm grateful for that. That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and I also think on that note, Heroes were very open about the problems there would have been in launching a 2021 con. They were very public about that, and it is a situation. Almost any con you go to, unless it's a very small local show, that's the result of about 2 years of planning.
Right.
So they were very upfront that they could not deliver the kind of show that they wanted to deliver in 2021, even with the health requirements that were in place at the time. So I also very much appreciate their honesty and how they conducted themselves on that particular issue. Definitely was worth it with the 2-year wait, I think.
Yeah.
So, because we did get a very, very good show. Yeah. All right. Well, with the Comic Book Bears podcast, one of our early segments tends to be our Geek Gets. And we have 3 people with a whole shit ton of Geek Gets. So, and I also think this is a nice mechanism that we can talk about the con as we show off what we got. So, let's be gracious to our guest, John, and let him go first. So, John, here he's scrambling there. Look at that. I wonder if that's a low of fun night. So take it over, son. Show us what you got.
Hey, well, thank you. Yeah, I was not ready for this at all. This is amazing. But I have piles everywhere, which is testament to what in the world happened. And Bill was witness to my horrible spending habits. It was great. So, like we were talking about.
Can I do my imitation of John at the con? Since he said he didn't buy this on credit?
Yeah, that's true.
Ah, bitches fly!
I got out the money guns. This is a stick up. It was fun though. It was so much fun. It was so naughty. I loved it.
Yeah.
So one of the bigger purchases that I got, and I was really geeking out with Bill about this, was Marvel Spotlight on Werewolf by Night. This is issue 4. This is a book that I was very excited about, and the cool thing is I was excited for Werewolf by Night. This is actually the first appearance of the Darkhold magic book ever in the Marvel universe, which is super dope. So having finds like this at your fingertips is so cool. Not to mention Werewolf by Night Volume 1, which I have a whole mountain of around here somewhere. It's a safari in here. It's really bad. This is definitely probably one of the highlights I would say that represents what I got, and that's not including all those sub-series that we talked about earlier too. But a lot of volume was purchased. So, and thank you, Bill, for pointing out half of them for me. Yes.
I'm a good scout.
Oh yeah,
I'm a good scout when it comes to that stuff. Yeah,
I could totally agree with that, Bill. You are definitely you're the guy. You know what to look for, where to look for it, and where to let us know it'll be when you find us again.
And it might have moved from where it was to another section just for safety's sake. Yep.
Now, John, did you have to go to a lot of different locations, or did Bill have to find a lot of different locations for you to get a lot of this, or were you able to? To really scout out just a couple spots.
They were kind of. I mean, you can tell from the type of vendor they are. They were kind of concentrated.
Yeah.
In certain ones, but every so often you find something in the dollar, like that last Marvel Comics Presents.
Yeah.
That was ooh.
And we didn't hit every single booth. I mean, there were
would have been impossible.
Yeah, there were some of the side booths where it was smaller ones.
Yeah.
And Bill and I really focused on the corner lots and some of the people that he recognized or that you had lifted up, Steve. By the way, I just got to say, and Bill and I talked about this, Steve was not there, but Steve was like our Oracle to our Batman and Robin. I would be Robin, of course, because I would rock that outfit. But Steve was the Oracle, just providing us the intel. He was watching us eagle eye from the sky. So this is like 2022 technology. No, go here, go to this booth, go to Pennyworth, So it was just so funny. He was bringing us that wisdom even while he wasn't there. So Steve, that was very gracious of you. You're a freaking awesome host, and you're such a warm-hearted man. And you did it from afar, and I still respect the hell out of you, and I love you. So, yeah. So thank you.
I think you were a
wonderful
back my
host.
Tears here,
so. Bro. Even though you weren't there, you were in good spirits about it, and we just appreciate you. And next year it'll be that much more awesome. So.
Oh yeah, count on it. If I have to put myself in a bubble, I think you guys suggested it last time. It's like, hey, just come out, be in the bubble, and we'll just push you around the con floor.
And hey, it's cosplay.
It's cosplay. I'm the boy in the bubble.
Yeah.
But yeah.
John, I'm actually curious. So you and I are similar. We're pretty close in age, and I think there's a lot of people who, if you ask people that are you and I's age, what do you know about Werewolf by Night? They're gonna say Moon Knight, and they're not gonna have much more of a connectivity with that series for that. Yeah. Obviously, if for the folks who are watching on the live stream, but for the folks who are on the listen to the podcast can't hear, your background is a ton of these Kirby-esque blacklight posters. You really appreciate the 60s, you really appreciate the 70s. So obviously I think that's a connective point to you, but what exactly is it about Werewolf by Night that made you fall in love with that series? Because
good question.
I think it's awesome. I really do.
Thank you. First of all, shout out to those Werewolf by Night t-shirts. I just came to play that weekend. That was great. I was looking sharp. And it got a lot of compliments, and I was like, well, thank you. With Werewolf by Night in that realm of horror, I'm really looking just for something different and dark, and I just really got excited about learning about all these different characters, mainly the Midnight Suns. And then from there, it just stemmed off into, this was going on during that time. Oh, Werewolf by Night, So it was interesting because it started out with just your old school Morbius, your Ghost Rider Volume 2, Midnight Suns, Blade Volume 1, which is crazy to collect. I have one issue left on that. And then Werewolf by Night, I was just like, I'm not familiar with this and I want to learn more. So I have just been speed dating and collecting. I have a long box and 3 short boxes and a magazine box for those Dracula Lives and your Vampire Tale magazines and stuff. And there is so much. I am 100% confident I have not even gotten probably 40% of what's out there for the horror content from Marvel, because there's so many side series and so many cameos and appearances and stuff like that, you know. So Bill found one on Sunday for me that he sent me a picture of. I'm like, that's cool. Haven't seen that one before. And so yes, that one. And so to me, it's exciting because I learned about new stories, new characters, because these are I was an X-Men fanatic growing up, and Silver Surfer, Galactus, all that. And so this is just a darker side of the Marvel universe. I may or may not be cooking up a little show in the future once I start reading those, but my goal is I want to make a huge spreadsheet, release date, shelf date, read them in order, get that experience as if I were in the 70s in terms of getting that information, and then reporting back to it with a cool, like, creepy intro. So
Very cool.
Yep.
So, John, show us some of the other stuff. You can go through them quick. I don't know
God.
if you.
You're acting like I have them.
All right, then don't worry about it. I just did.
Got it. Here you go. There's some
Look at
examples of Werewolf by Night. You know, one of my favorite covers, actually, this Werewolf by Night 27 is so freaking bizarre. And this is what I love, is that it's like legit just random villains and different characters that maybe I've read in future X-Men issues or whatever. But that's that. I also have this. Oh, that's not good. I have this really random Blade versus Santa, like a vampire Santa. So that's kind of fun. So that's something kind of rad. And Bill remembers these, and I'm gonna lift them up because Bill's a big DC guy, and I can play ball too. I saw these gorgeous Poison Ivy variants, and I love me some Ivy. So I love Hercules
They
more.
are nice. Yeah.
I love Hercules more. But I just wanted to pay my DC homage. And she comes in foil.
That would be a good couple. That would, Hercules and Poison Ivy. That'd be a good couple.
There you go.
Yeah.
Book Bears exclusive right here.
Yeah.
Hot Bear Summer. Okay.
Yeah. That's almost as good as my
like
Peter Parker Barbara Gordon couple.
They could talk about their ex-boyfriends and girlfriends like all day long.
Yeah.
There'd just be so much conversation making fun of their exes.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, can I highlight this really quick?
Yes, please. I want to show more. Yeah.
One more.
Yes.
I got this beautiful print, and I don't care about Scarlet Witch at all in this. I care about the Darkhold. That's all I care about, and I'm so happy to see Darkhold highlighted. It's so badass. I mean, look.
I don't care about you, Wanda. It's just a book.
But I love this better. It's not just a book, Bill. Come on. It was a 16-issue series of glory. Like, let's go.
Yay. All right.
Oh, one more.
Caleb, oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
I got my Blacklight Hawk.
There we go.
That's all.
I found him at the show, so now I just need Black Panther and Ghost Rider. So if anybody sees it out there, let me know. But I'm after Ghost Rider and Black Panther, and I'll be done with those for right now. So. Yeah.
Now, okay, Caleb, again, you said you mostly got art. Is any available to show?
Yeah, no, I've got it all right here beside me.
Great.
So I'm going to go through that. First, I'm really sad that I have to unfriend John after his "I don't care about Wanda" comment. That's unfortunate. I thought we had something going here, but apparently not.
No. Sometimes things just turn on a dime.
Yeah.
Trying to prove.
I approve. Like, there's a page from that series that I keep wanting to buy. I'll start with, like, Bill's right. I have a bunch of art that I'm going to go through and stuff, but I want to start with some books. I didn't buy a lot of book. I actually I'm trying to collect, I'm trying to finish my run of Marvel Comics Presents. And I saw a lot, but there's a lot I already had, and I really didn't get anything that I didn't have. So that was that was really the only title that I went looking for, like, that I was like, okay, if I find this, I'm going to grab a stack of them. And I didn't. So, womp, womp, womp. That's okay. The cool thing about this con is there were hardcovers aplenty. So I grabbed one that I didn't know I was looking for, but once I saw it, I realized I was looking for it. And that's Harvey Kurtzman's Jungle Book. Now, I'm a huge Harvey Kurtzman fan. I love Harvey Kurtzman, but I didn't buy this for Harvey Kurtzman, right? Like, I bought it for Harvey Kurtzman, but it has an introduction by Gilbert Shelton. It has an essay by Dennis Kitchen, which I cannot wait to read. I love Dennis Kitchen. Kitchen Sink Press is just chef's kiss. But it also has a conversation between Peter Popolonsky and R. Crumb. R. Crumb is problematic in today's world. I realize that, but I really, like, XYZ, women's comics, comics with an X, like all of those, that underground scene. Huge fan of it. Huge fan of Peter Baggy. So our Crumb's got a special place in my heart and always will. So really, really can't wait to crack this open at some point. I also got a couple of few things that I did get excited about. You guys know I'm a big fan of, two of my favorite characters are Hulk and Namor. So I get a lot of Tales to Astonish when I can. So I grabbed Tales to Astonish number 73. Really, really good copy of that. Very happy to get my hands on it. I got Hulk 107, which I got a really decent price on this. So really decent price on this. Very excited about that early stuff. This is now, I think I have a 103, but this is the earliest Incredible Hulk I have. And it Tales to Astonish precedes that, of course. But and then I also have a Hulk 198 that I picked up just because I like the cover. Trying to do this where you don't have a big glare on it. But it's got the heap. It's got man thing, not the heap. Sorry. One of those big furry fuzzy guys. Really dug the cover on that. A friend brought me some things that I love that I was not expecting, and I was very appreciative and kind of humbled when they handed this to me. Big Conan fan, as you guys know, so I got little Cole and the Barbarians with Conan, and then I also got Conan number 12. They gifted me Conan number 12, so really, really happy about this. Love it. Someday I genuinely hope to have a full run of this. Who knows if that'll happen or not. But that's all the older stuff that I have. All the rest of the comics I have are going to be newer stuff. Made a really good friend on this trip, and it's somebody that I've known through online communities, but I'd never got to meet in person, like so many of the folks that we're talking about. There's a brother in arms, Mr. Tony Esmond, who's from the UK. He and his art partner, who is also from the UK but now lives in Maryland, Cliff Cumber, were here in person, and I got to go chat with them up. Great guys. They self-published their stuff. It's awesome. I think the Tribute Press is what they tribute stuff. So grabbed a copy of their book. Tony Osmond is a movie star. Very cool book. Love Chris Cumber's art. It's fantastic. It's irreverent. It's hilarious. Fun stuff. But I got a couple of their stuff, their books that they put out and put together. Atomic Hercules. I was given that off their table. Really fun stuff. Now this is Tony Esmond and Adam Falp, who is also there. Adam Falp is a young guy. I think he's younger than mid-20s. And considering how young he is, he's already a really incredible talent. And then the Dirty Basement number 1, which is also Tony and Adam. So I picked up that off their table, plus some stickers, some fun stuff, just general kind of geeky gets. That's all as far as the comics that I got. But as we've said numerous times, Heroes is not just a place for comics. Comics are front and center. But I was very surprised when I rounded a corner and I found a booth that was not only selling comics, they were selling records. I got this I'm super excited about. Funkadelic, Parliament Funk, One Nation Under Groove. Bootsy Collins is one of my favorite bass players of all time. He's all up on this, so just made me incredibly happy as I was flipping through. I was like, oh, like this has got to come home with me. And it did, which was nice. And I haven't cracked it open yet because I've been busy, but I'm going to very soon. Since it's the last day of Pride Month, I didn't get this there, but I got this, the DC Pride poster.
That's so nice.
Yeah, like I've got a drawer full of posters here that I need to do something with at some point. And I also got the DC Pride poster book, which has got all the different prints and stuff in there. Again, not usually a print fan, but that was too cool to pass up. And then the stuff that I spent the most money on, literally blew through like 80% of my budget within the first 6 hours because I already had stuff set up and everything. Was art. And this is a very art-centric show. Artist Alley is the best here. Everyone's accessible, but they have the amount of talent that was stuffed in that room is ridiculous. I'm gonna not bury the lead. This is one of my. It's hard to say one of my favorite things. This is one of the things I was most excited about. I usually get pages instead of commissions. On this trip, I got commissions and not pages. I was able to get a page from Second Coming by Richard Pace and Mark Russell. It's the page where both the hero and Jesus are literally in the crosshairs while God snickers at the top, and you get the gorgeous depiction of the Last Supper in there. It was fantastic talking to Richard Pace. He and we're of like minds about a lot of things, and if you've been paying attention to the news, you realize that some things happened over this last week politically with the Supreme Court that are not good, in my personal opinion. So I'm kind of glad I was around like friends to keep me occupied with that, and he and I were able to sit there and just kind of talk about it and just bounce ideas and thoughts off of one another for about 20 minutes. And from somebody who drew such a subversive critical book, I thought it was cool that I got to talk to him. I'm a big fan of jam pieces. So if you don't know what a jam piece is in the art world, jam pieces are these little collections that you get. You pick a subject matter or a theme, and you have different artists do a different piece. I had Kelly Williams, who actually didn't make it out to the show, but he mailed it ahead of time. He started off my Lone Wolf and Cub jam. And so he did both these characters. And the plan behind this is to contact creators beforehand and say, hey, have you read Lone Wolf and Cub? And when most of them say, yes, I've read Lone Wolf and Cub, I'm going to say, well, what was your favorite bad guy? What was your favorite villain, your favorite fight? And get them to draw that character. So it will be dealer's choice on that, but just to fill up that page with different figures from Lone Wolf and Cub. I don't know if you've ever heard of this little character named Apollo. He's a little dude that gets around. Rich Woodall, who you may know from Black Caravan and Scout Comics, he hooked me up with this gorgeous, gorgeous piece. The background colors on that are what really just drove it home. Fantastic guy. Turns out he's also from Arkansas, so we didn't know that. He doesn't live here now, but he stemmed from here and then he escaped. So he should have done. But fantastic guy. Go check out his Black Caravan stuff. Chris Capana hooked me up with a really cool Jack of Hearts that I adore. I think it's a fantastic character. Visually, it's one of Marvel's more kinetic characters. In that kind of traditional suit. So he hooked me up with that. Chris Capana, he's done a lot of stuff, but his book, if you've ever read The Adventures of Parker Reef, it's a very tragic and sad story, but it's based off of his life and the loss that he experienced of his fiance and their child. And it's basically him imagining what his child would grow up to be like. Very cathartic. Yeah, it's a very tough book to read. It's one of the few books that I've actually put down and openly just wept. But he did it to help process things. So drawing really cool superhero characters is awesome. But go check out The Adventures of Parker Reef. That is a book that means a lot to him, and it means a lot to me.
Hey, Caleb, what was the title of that again?
The Adventures of Parker Reef.
The Adventures of Parker Reef.
Yeah,
I remember you actually talking about it a couple of years ago on Southern Fried Geekery, and that's it. It really strikes me as a very powerful work, and I'm glad you actually got to connect with him.
Yeah, and talked about it. I really didn't know how to approach that because it is such a personal work, and I didn't want to see this man break down and cry. And I didn't know, but he's so used to people talking about it. He was very open and talking about what it means and what it's grown to mean and stuff like that. Art really is it can be a lot of things, but I think in that situation, it was therapeutic for him to work through. And I can only imagine the feelings. I'm doing an Incredible Hulk jam. I know a lot of people are surprised about that. So I got The Leader done this weekend by Jamie Jones. I was unfamiliar with Jamie Jones until this weekend. For the art auction, he actually did this really, really cool Norman Rockwell inspired Popeye and olive oil piece that Scotty Young ended up buying. But it just blew my socks off. So I went and found him, got him to hook it up, and he did a great job. Actually got that started. And then I am doing a Conan jam. I got 2 pieces done on my Conan jam. Joseph Schmalke hooked me up with Thulsa Doom. I think you guys can see that. Did a fantastic job on Thulsa Doom. And then Cliff Cumber, whose work I talked about just a minute ago, got me right tight and right with Subutai, and actually did a little background piece in there. You can see Conan hollering Crom. Fantastic work on that. And then my baby, as I'm going to start calling it, that's almost done. It'll be the first jam piece I end up getting finished. Is my Gargoyles jam, and I was able to get quite a bit done to this. I already had Goliath by Freddie Williams on, and I had I just completely went blank. Lexington, Brooklyn, green one. Help me out, John. I just went completely blank. I'm so tired of today. Anyway, I'm gonna get called a poser here. Already had him done, but I was able to get Demona done by a new artist that I was not familiar with named Kaylin Smith. She got that hooked up for me, and then Billy Fowler hooked me up with Brooklyn, and see that. Yeah, I adore that. It is Lexington, you know. So I've got a little bit more to do on that, but really excited to get that piece finished. And then I'm not done yet. I got just a few more. Bear with me. And sorry for everybody at home who's not seeing this. I'm gonna shoot pictures of this to put in the whatever, the comment section or whatever.
Yeah, we'll put it on our Facebook page and also
yeah, so folks can kind of see it.
So that'll be fine.
I got a multiple man piece that I was super excited about. Not a character you see a lot in commissions. So I was like, I want to really kind of get that done, because it also it's cheating a little bit. It entices artists to draw more than one figure and not charge me for it. So that's Ryan Cody who did that and did an excellent job on that. And then you got to have a contingency plan, right? Like you got to have when you go to cons and you're married, and when you leave, your better half is like, don't overspend, right? And you're just like, I'm gonna overspend, but they're just like, don't you do it? And I'm just like, I'm gonna do it, and then you're gonna get in trouble. But you got to have a contingency plan. So with me, I know my husband well enough to know that he's not going to get mad at me if I show him anything with one of our dogs. And so I got this done by the great Trish Forstner and Tony Fleece of Stray Dogs fame, Eisner nominated Stray Dogs fame, do a picture of our dog Annie. So I was able to come home, and of course, bank account. So the better half was sitting there just tapping his finger, waiting on me, and I showed up with that, and it was just like, oh yeah, come in the house. Here's dinner. So worked out. So that's pretty much my haul on this. So like I said, not a lot, like there's not a giant pile of stuff, but very art is not cheap these days.
No.
So, and the book that I got, lots of cool stuff, little couple of extra little things, like Cliff Cumber's, he did a little 50 things book, really cool stickers from Atomic Hercules. I don't even know what this is. It's called Blood of the Gods. I don't know where it came from. It just made its way home with me. I picked it up off a booth. It's got a little pull-out poster of cool stuff. I'll figure out what this is and who it is and give them a shout-out later. Big, scary, creepy Grim Reaper guy.
Awesome.
Looks like a Death Jawa.
Death Jawa.
It's got something on the back too. I didn't even know.
The Death Jawa.
Ooh. Wow. Yeah, little haunted, vineyard. So if you like little stuff like this that you go by the table, they're like, hey, this zine or whatever is $2, $3. This is the con for you to go to, because there's stuff like this. Like you will need a military duffel bag to bring it all home. But again, fantastic time. I could show you a picture of all the drinks that I drank, with all the great friends that I drank them with, and that was the important part to me. But the art's cool too.
We have a couple comments here. David says, "Man, Kelly's art is so good." Yes,
he is.
Absolutely agreed. And Adam Anderson here. Thanks for
Hey,
joining us,
Adam.
Adam. That's awesome. I got a sketch from Fleeks and Forstner.
Oh, that's
also.
awesome. I know Adam was trying to get one at Baltimore, and I think Trish had filled up.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Adam. So glad to hear that.
David, Death Jawa, Utini, motherfuckers. Utini.
Yeah.
No,
Death
yeah.
Jawas have to live after this. They really do.
Shout out to Kelly Williams. So Kelly also didn't get to go. He at the last minute had to back out. It wasn't COVID related or anything. He just I forget what happened, but he just decided that he wasn't going to get to make it. So he took it upon himself to go ahead and mail that piece to the Cadence guys and said, hey, when you see Caleb walking around, make sure he gets this, which I really appreciate. Kelly's a dude from Arkansas, so he and I go way back. I've got a couple of pieces done by him. Solid guy. And then, shout out to Trish and just the whole team, Tony, all of them. Eisner nominated folks. They were there with the Heroes Initiative, actually manning that table the whole time. They stayed there with their heads down. They were like greeting fans, drawing dogs, making sure people knew what the Hero Initiative were, and just doing a lot of really cool stuff for that charity. So. Fantastic job. And Tony is a friend of a friend, but I think I get to call him a friend now, so just had a blast. All everything about that, everybody was so accessible. It was fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, Steve, you remember there were a couple times of Heroes Pass where I made okay with toys
Yeah.
at the show. Didn't happen this time around. It just wasn't stuff that was connecting with me. But I did walk away with, and I love my esoteric shit. In the 70s, 7-Eleven had Slurpee cups for both DC and Marvel characters. So I walked away with 2 of the Teen Titans here, Speedy and Aqualad, and they have the descriptions of the characters on the back.
Cool.
I never had these because it's like DCs were like 73 or so, 74, and I didn't move to an area that had 7-Elevens until later. So I only had one, which was like a leftover, which was Kid Flash, and I cherished that thing. I wish I had that. I really got to get Kid Flash. I've gotten a few of these in the over the last few years, but they're not easy to find in good condition, and this wasn't bad for these two. I'm just going to go rapid fire through some of my books here. One of the series that I always like to collect is Black Hawk, and I had a terrible situation. I did eventually walk away with 360s Black Hawks here, so glad to see that. But there was a whole box of $5 box of Black Hawks, and a lot of them were 10 centers, and I walked away from it. I forgot what was going on, but I didn't stay there. I figured, I'll go back to there, because who wants Blackhawk but me? And when I went back to the dealer, I'm behind a guy basically pulling all my Blackhawks. He probably got the suite too, Caleb. At the Westin. But John was right there, and I just have never experienced anything like that. Just watching the books that you want to go.
Bill was not happy. He was not.
I was not happy.
There.
I could have beat the shit out of that guy too.
So
and like he was a little twerpy guy.
Our man Vince had the same. It's funny. He had the same exact thing happen. He went back to pick up some IDW Ninja Turtle stuff.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was like, there was that split level thing where one guy was like looking at the top and the other guy was like down there.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get to the bottom row where he knew they were. And before he got there, the guy who was literally right there, like grabbed the whole stack up and.
Oh God! Oh, I have to. Does Vince talk about that on the show?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Oh, I got to hear that. So just a couple of things. John especially liked these. I got a couple of issues of Space War from Charlton in the 70s, and these were reprints of 50s and 60s sci-fi from Charlton, but they do sport brand new Ditko covers, or brand new at the time. So that was something cool. In the 70s, Archie allowed the character to be licensed to a company named Spire, which was a Christian comic book company. And they didn't just do Archies, they did other topics that were, connected to evangelical Christian efforts. And one of those gentlemen at the time was Johnny Cash. So I have Hello, I'm Johnny Cash comic by Al Hartley and Billy Zoili from the 70s. So um, something really cool. The other,
I can't hear that. I can't see that title and not hear. Hello, I'm Johnny.
I'm Johnny Cash.
Like just.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. The yet last night, right on a comic book look, John had received a gift from Tom of a Venom comic from Spain. So the Veneno, and I got something similar. I got an issue of Justice League from 2013, and it's the German version. So it has not just Justice League, but it also has Aquaman and Teen Titans in it, and also has a beautiful poster fitted in. So I love me these foreign comics when you can find them. So it's a Justice League from 2013 from Germany. One of the comics we had made some mentions about. Caleb and I went to dinner with our friend Brian Newberry on Sunday night to Midwood Smokehouse, and the walls there have a whole bunch of comic book stuff. And one of the comics that was on there was this issue that I actually bought early in the day of Jimmy Olsen,
Yeah.
118, where Jimmy becomes a hippie. Usually with the comic books, I don't read stuff, but I kind of needed to know what happened in there, and I did. And this is one of the worst comics I've ever read in my life, but very, very happy I have it.
La Bamba worthy?
It's La Bamba. Yeah.
Lou Diamond Phillips runs in,
Yeah.
shouts La Bamba, and runs off.
Child of the 70s. I've tried to recreate the comics that I got when I was a kid. One that I'm in the home stretch with. There's only a few more that I need are the 100-page super spectaculars from DC from the early 70s, and this was a Batman that I had yet to recollect. So this is Batman 261. Happy to get that. I thought I had no LGBT content. I thought there wasn't anything, but I was looking at the stuff that I got, and yeah, there was one LGBT book, and that's Snagglepuss #1 from 1962. So I have that. Power Records had these amazing book and comic book sets in the 70s, and I was able to find a copy of Alien Creatures, the Superman book, from there. And this is also the art in here is by Neil Adams, and this cover, if you can see here, is a combination of a Neil Adams layout, a Dick Giordano inks, but with Kurt Swan finishing it, with a Kurt Swan finish over a Neil Adams cut. And that is just, I wish we saw that combination a little more often. That's kind of cool.
What is that, Bill?
It's a Neil Adams layout, Kurt Swan finish with Dick Giordano inks on the cover.
Yeah, what issue is that? I couldn't.
No, it's a book and record set. It's
okay.
Okay. It's not part of the regular series, and the records in here. You can very often when you find these nowadays, they don't have the records in them. So, one thing that this was something whenever I can find multi-pack sets at comic conventions, if they're affordable, I'll get them. This was a little different than the majority. Well, one is a little more traditional. This is a set of 3 Flash Gordon in a multi-pack from 1980. So that's kind of cool. That was from Whitman Gold Key, that were the main company that did that, but for super cheap. And this may be something that you youngins will be a little more familiar with. I did get all 4 issues, the collector's set of Robin 2, with the holographic cards, and they also had all of the variants in one pack. So there were 4 issues of that. I got a very early trade paperback collection. This is from 1979, the Best of DC War Comics, America at War, collected by Batman producer Michael Uslan. And this is one I never had as it. Well, 79, it would have been, um, I would have been older than a small child, and I never had this for some reason. Though I always was like looking at it at Brentano's and some other. Never thought to ask for it for Christmas. I don't know why. Maybe, you know what? It may have been that they had a copy at the library, and that kind of calm my jets about it. I don't know. But I never had a copy, so now I do. I also don't want to make it sound like it was only old stuff for me. There was a gentleman that John and I, excuse me, saw at the airport, and just from the looks of this guy, we thought, oh, he's got to be going to the con. It turns out he was. And he's the artist John Jebbia. So I got the first two issues of a comic that he wrote. That he drew with the writer Sean Ellis, called Dose. It's a very psychedelic take on alien abduction and some other stuff. Looking forward to diving into that. And as John and I were talking, it turns out he grew up only about 20 minutes from where I did growing up. So that's kind of cool. This was actually a dollar bin find, and Steve got pretty excited when I told him about this. This is one of the collections of Gene and Scott, which is a long running web comic. And I was unfamiliar with it, but I was like, I'm grabbing this. It's mine. And, I thought, hey, I walked out of there without any original art, but it turns out I did. So one of my traditions is to get one of the Hello Kitties from our friend Tom Kelly. And this year I got Peacemaker. So
That's
I got
awesome.
art.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I love those Tom Kelly Hello Kitty originals. Those are so much fun. I've gotten a Wonder Woman for Jason. I've picked up a couple other ones. I think I have a Wolverine and a few others.
Yeah, I got the girls from Glow.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. I got an Iron Fist. Just wanted to reach, because as we mentioned earlier, I basically because of my foot issues, I need to stay off my feet fairly often. So I did go to the comic censorship panel. I did go to Jonathan Hickman and Scotty Young in conversation, and Scotty Young seems to be a favorite son of this con.
Yeah.
Very much so. He's probably had the longest lines of anybody at the show, and a couple of others that I was able to attend. I saw the Before the Infinity War, which basically was in conversation with Roy Thomas, and stayed around in the same room for a Thor panel with Walt Simonson and Ron Frenz. Went, and then right towards the end of the day on Saturday, and John was able to join us. We had Ed Pisker and Jim Rugg in conversation with Jim Starlin, and that was a pretty good panel. Had a good time at that. And the final day, I was able to go to the Extravaganza, which was Chris Claremont and Louise Simonson in conversation. And sometimes if you see Chris Claremont, it can be rambling and it can be really disjointed. But knowing that Wheezy was going to be there, she seems to really balance him out, and you can tell she was a good editor for him, and when you get some of these older creators, you always run the risk of the topics that they cover being no more than war stories, but not so the case in any of the panels that I went to with some of the older ones, especially hearing some of their perceptions of how their creations are being used, and just things maybe that you don't think about so much, with Jim Starlin talking about he's trying to get a Dreadstar series off the ground and the TV series because he thinks it would work. That he's in a situation where the creator of Thanos is going to get his calls returned in Hollywood. So there are things like that you don't take into consideration until you see people in conversation in this manner. So I was very happy. The Heroes always provide some really good panels, and especially for circumstances that I have that I just can't stay on my feet too long anymore. So happy that we have that. And Caleb did attend the panel too.
Well,
Yeah.
so I was going to, before I talk about the panel I did go to, I actually wanted to talk about some of the panels I wasn't able to make it to or just didn't. One of the things that I'm always looking for and stuff that I really appreciate at some of these cons are the more technical panels, the panels that are like old school Comic Cons. It wasn't just, oh, let me go, like you said, listen to people talk about war stories, or let me hear the same conversation that these people have had at every single panel they go to. You know, there used to be panels you would go to where they had people who would do you know, everything from here's how you lay out a page. Like they had technical craft panels, and I really appreciated that. SCAD is really close. The Savannah College of Art and Design is really close in proximity to Charlotte. SCAD had several panels there, which on educational tools on how to make comics, how to do this. I think Comic Cons need more of that. Conventions need more of this craft. This you are here not only because you want to hear these people that make art, but you're here because you want to make art. You're here because you need to know how to do this, and we are people in the industry that can help you do this. They need more conversations with editors and stuff like that. So I thought that was really great. There was also a panel that I didn't make it to, but the whole thing was about estate planning. You know, the whole thing was about you've got a giant collection. What are you going to do with it someday when the inevitable happens? And it was really just here's how you go about the legality of, you know, doing a will, of making sure that you have things that are, and it wasn't just somebody go up there saying, oh no, go down to get everything graded and then you'll know. Like, it wasn't that. It was here's how you get an appraiser, here's the numbers that you need to leave your people who are going to be left with your stuff when you're gone, and make something useful out of it. So I thought that was really cool. I'm bummed I didn't make it to that one. It was on my schedule to go to, and I ended up just like not looking at my phone, and so I missed it. But the panel I did get to go to, I was able to go, number one, to go support a friend, our buddy Jason Wood from EOC. He moderated a panel with the amazing creators of Bitter Root. So I was able to go sit in on that panel, get to talk to the creators for a little bit, talk about the inspiration behind Bitter Root. You know, did the whole thing where, you know, oh, these are my artistic inspirations. Here's what we were thinking about doing this. Here's how we work together. So if you don't know, the Bitter Root was written by David F. Walker and co-written by Chuck Brown. But Sanford Green is an artistic maestro. Did the work on that book to bring it to life. And it's a book that it's a sci-fi book. It's a little bit of a steampunk book, but it's set in the Harlem Renaissance. It's set in the 30s, and so to hear these men talk about being the only all-black creative team on an all-black book since Johnson and Stroman's Tribe at Image Comics. That was the last time that happened. So to have that, there is
even with Milestone.
Yep, Milestone was an Image.
Oh, Image. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was going to say like.
So at Image Comics to have
it is something.
That's the last time, and so that's how important. Bitter Root is an important book. It like a lot of comics has been optioned, but it's actually got some people who care about it. Like Ryan Coogler's attached to it now. Wow. There's some really good. Oh, I'm going blank because names are failing me. A very prominent African American woman is set to direct it. If I said her name, light bulbs would go off all over the place. She's I think she was in the Watchmen. She was attached to Watchmen. I'm not. Anyway, this terrible radio. I'm sorry. But there's some bigger names attached to it. So the chances of Bitter Root, the film, are actually pretty good. But they also announced that they are bringing Bitter Root back in a sense. They had a story idea that instead of being set in the 30s, they needed to set it like later in time. And so they are giving us Bitter Root. The title is tentatively, and this will change. All three of the folks were like, yeah, this is just the working title. But it's tentatively called Bitter Root 1965. So they're taking it into the civil rights era. So I cannot wait to see what they do with that. Two of the creators are educators, right? So they're not just making comics. These are individuals who teach in higher education. So there is a Regina King. Thank you, Tony.
Regina King. Yes, thank you, Tony.
Yeah, she's set to direct it. That's going to be fantastic. But if you read Bitter Root, like I said, the fact that it's set in the 30s, it's dealing with the Harlem Renaissance, the subject matter being family and everything. When I read that book, it really started like I'm a huge fan of James Baldwin, right? So I was like, I bet these guys were thinking about James Baldwin. And so throughout the conversation, they were talking about these really cool things and stuff. And then the people got to ask questions, and I was one of those people. So I brought up James Baldwin. The light in these three men's eyes, their creator's eyes, as they just like, oh, like yeah, yes, like yeah, like he speaks to me while I write. That was pretty cool. So we're getting more Bitterroot. It sounds like we're getting a big omnibus. The chances of Bitterroot coming to the screen is pretty awesome, and I got to have a great conversation with with Kevin Walker and Sanford Green about Go Tell It on the Mountain, and like that was a pretty big moment. So I really appreciated that. And again, just being able to talk to folks, that interaction. Like, who am I? I'm nobody. And I saw Sanford Green later in the bar, and he was like, "Hey, sit down. Let's talk about James Baldwin." So okay. And so we did that. That was great for a lit nerd like me. That's amazing.
Awesome.
Okay, so we've heard awesome and cool from our co-host here, Mr. Maury. Again, we are sad that you couldn't participate in this conversation, but you did read some comics. So why don't you just tell us about something that you're reading, just so you can join in the fun here.
I'm just joining in. Well, so while you guys were picking up comics, I was staying home and ordering comics, and got a couple of books delivered to me. And one of them that I picked up before I got sick and finally had an excuse to sit around and just read it was Rhea Ewing's Fine, a comic about gender. And again, it was perfect timing because June Pride Month. Today is the last day that we're streaming this. It's June 30th, last official day of Pride Month. But obviously, just like Christmas, we hold it in our hearts all year long, as proud queer gay men. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the book Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe, and one of the things that I might have as a criticism about it is that it is a very personal but singular story about a person's understanding of their gender with Maya's journey, and there seemed to be a lot missing from that. So this book fills in all of those gaps. This is a conversation. This is a piece of work that Rhea had been working on for over 10 years. In conversation with multiple people about how they conceive of sex, gender, and their part in that spectrum. What does that mean to them? How do they express themselves? What is masc? What is femme? What is do hormones make the person? Are hormones bad? Are hormones good? If you take hormones, does that make you trans? What's the what is gender to people? And I think Rhea also going through their own journey throughout this time period, understanding how they are, how they perceive themselves, what their body means to them, the barriers that they put up over, decades of understanding their own body, and then figuring out ways to get those barriers and wipe those barriers away as they're going through their gender journey. Through the conversations with these people, and these are real people. These are real interviews that Rhea had over the years with people who are who identify as trans or genderqueer or just queer overall. It's a fantastic book, and I mean, if you've been listening to some of the books that we've been talking about during Pride Month this year, and also throughout the rest of the year, because we do really support the community, trying to show books that are really fantastic to us. Great conversations. I think this is one that you should pick up. You don't have to be questioning about your gender. You don't have to be, consider yourself trans or, really think about gender all the time. But, yeah, definitely pick this up. And Bill is just cracking up like crazy. What did I say?
No, it's nothing you said. It was the face I made because I was holding a cough down, and when you were saying about when we support the community, I was holding the cough down, and I know that looked like a smirk on my part. Was like, yeah, what the hell? So that's just what it was. I'm very sorry for the interruption, but
Don't worry about that.
You never know where the laughs come in with me, fellas.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well,
Steve,
once we get the La Bamba shirts that have been suggested by David Toby and seconded here from John, I mean, we're all going to have to wear those at some point.
Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out somebody to design those.
Steve, I really appreciate something you just said about this book, though, that you don't have to be trans to read books about genderqueer or to read books about the trans experience. You don't have to be gay to read books about the gay, to want, like, to soak in knowledge. And I think that's something that there's a significant portion of the population that they edge away from some really great literary works because they're like, well, this isn't my community, this isn't my thing, so why do I need to read this? And at the end of the day, art's about education. Like, it can be about education. And I think that is one of the most useful tools of comics to broaden our horizons and to widen our kind of our experience in the world, because especially comics, it lets you sink into the shoes of a person who is not you. I mean, literature does that in general, but comics especially do. Just the way that the pictures work and the way that you immerse yourself in it lets you sink into a world that's not you, and you can draw out of that when you're done. So I really appreciate that that is a very poignant point that you just made.
Well, and actually Rhea even makes, I think one of the interviewees that Rhea talks to actually brings up the point sometimes that the people who are most open to a conversation about gender or understanding someone who is coming to them who, has a different idea of gender or somewhere on the trans spectrum, or, that people who don't have any experience in that tend to be the most open and understanding when they're confronted with something that's brand new. And I think this is an idea that we don't really hear much from the news and from the way that things are presented. If you aren't part of this community, then you'll never understand. Like, there's a lot of those things on all political spectrums. It doesn't matter. But I think when people talk with people and are confronted something, there's a chance, not always, but there's a chance there that somebody who has no experience, no understanding about a topic that's as personal to each person, to each human being out there, may be able to kind of understand, be an open book, be able to absorb like a sponge, somebody else's experience in a way that allows them to understand maybe their own experience a little bit better, but then also be open to other people who have a different journey, who have a different understanding of themselves in the world, of their gender identity, their where they fall on the spectrum, their journey that they're still making. And that's one of the points that Rhea also makes, is that there are people who start out here and end out very differently than how they started. Their understanding of their own gender, their understanding of others' gender, their understanding of themselves as a holistic person change. And that, I think that helps, because this was compiled over 10 years. Some of the interviewees Ray goes back and talks to at different times, and there's been a difference. There has been some growth, there's been some change. Somebody who started out as being in transition to become a woman stopped, or was thinking about themselves as a man at the beginning of transition, and then even more so being 100% more understanding of themselves as a male gendered person who happens to be trans. It's just very interesting, very, very cool book. And if you're curious in any way, shape, or form, you do not have to consider yourself part of the trans community to pick up something like this. And don't resist, or don't think that something isn't for you because you're not part of that community, you're not part of that group. Check it out, read it. It might help you understand something. It might direct you to somewhere else. There's a great bibliography in here and some great references that, if you are interested in continuing that conversation within comics, within literature, you can check that out too. Anyway. Okay.
Well, thank you for wrapping up Pride Month with that note there, Steve. Appreciate it.
And now we won't talk about anything queer for the next 365 days, so...
Except Snagglepuss.
Except Snagglepuss. We're going to do 11 months of Snagglepuss appreciation.
Yeah. Exit stage right, stage left even.
I love Mark Russell's book.
Mhm.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, there was something there's something new he has coming up, and I'm just so excited for it. And I'm so excited for it, I forgot what it was. Oh God, was does he have a Superman project coming up?
He's got
Probably.
something Big Two related coming up. I'm not 100% sure. I usually pick up everything he like. I have a standing like check mark behind Mark
Yeah.
Russell's name at my
Oh,
my
yeah.
local comic shop. So
Yeah, I didn't get all of Redbox, with what was it, Deadbox? But I am
Deadbox.
gonna pick that up in trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you weren't a huge fan of Not All Robots, but I love
No,
that book.
yeah, I
That was
bailed on
great.
that.
I
Yeah,
thought
I
it was
bailed
fun.
on that. Yeah.
David just mentioned because he's down in Australia. It's already Wrath Month there, so they're enjoying Gay Wrath Month.
Will there be Death Jawas?
Death Jawas for sure. Ooh, teeny motherfuckers.
I want that on a T-shirt.
Hey, we got these ideas. We got to market this.
Okay, before we go on to Woofs of the Week, in some of the past recent episodes, we've been spotlighting some Kickstarters that we think you may be interested in. Steve, if you can just prep that up there. Okay, great. For people listening, I'll do my best to employ an old-time radio and be overly descriptive about this. I found out about this from David C. Cobb, who is the Vice President and Creative Director of Animal Repair Shop. And Animal Repair Shop has a division known as Infinite Rabbit Holes, and they put together this Kickstarter for Batman: The Arkham Asylum Files. So, what is Arkham Asylum Files? Well, it's a brand new form of at-home entertainment that combines the board game with the escape room, with the puzzle box, with animated and live-action series, and mystery and adventure and mobile augmented reality game. If you went into the world of Arkham Asylum Files, you would dive into the world that Batman and Harley Quinn inhabit as you investigate the Arkham Asylum's most infamous patients with newly reinstated therapist Dr. Harleen Quinzel. Explore the world of Batman as you build the series of Gotham City and make it spring to life through your mobile phone or tablet with amazing augmented reality. Work together with your friends and family to solve diabolical challenges unleashed by the Joker. So you'll see here as you're going there actually are 3 puzzle boxes there. And each puzzle box is a full standalone adventure. So you see there the first one, Panic in Gotham City. Then that's followed by episode 2, which is Gotham City Twisted Skies, followed by episode 3, which is The Eyes of Gotham City. It's important to note that boxes 2 and 3, they are not expansion packs. These are their own self-contained adventures. So each episode of the Arkham Asylum Files is a 10-pound box, of physical artifacts that can be brought to life through your mobile app, available on both Apple iOS and Android devices. Check out the Kickstarter page for the specific information about this campaign, and there's also a slew of add-ons here. They have been funded. They are at, I thought it was something like 273%, but it's 150 to 7,000 pledged of 25,000. And from what I understand from people I know that are in the board game community, which this is an offshoot of, I have at least one friend who's very excited about this. So check that out. Kickstarter Batman: The Arkham Asylum Files. And there's still 21 days to go on that. That's up your street. Click through and see if you want to become a backer.
Nice.
Looks
And
pretty cool to me.
It's a good thing. It's already funded. They do have currently they're showing some shipping dates and things already.
Yeah.
For these, so that's so it's pretty good. It doesn't seem like it's one of the esoteric sort of like we might come up with a game at some point.
Yeah,
This is what
yeah.
we like to do.
We might
This
have
is
the
something that
technology
already
by the
exists.
time that you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems really cool.
If you're part of the
and,
comic book
yeah.
world, you're used to some of the pitfalls of the Kickstarters that never come to fruition.
Which happens sometimes.
And then you see them at cons with giant tables.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I never got my
Hey,
pledge. I never
weren't
got
you
my,
the one that had the video where you were burning stuff? Yeah. Yeah, you
There's
shouldn't
that
be here.
book that you were supposed to ship and you said you didn't have any more
Yeah.
of. And
The
you're selling
one
it now
thing,
for
though, I
$40.
will have like a huge amount of sympathy for is if the Kickstarter is so successful that it moves from an independent published scenario to a major publisher. And there's a lot of problems that can happen with that, and delays that were not on the table that all of a sudden are. With the way that publishing houses work, there may have just been too many projects that were in the same wheelhouse that within that quarter, that it might have to be pushed out 2 quarters, and that one situation with the graphic novel Kickstarters, I do have tremendous sympathy for creators, because they're doing something good. It's gonna, they're spreading their gospel, to a far bigger audience than they would have been, and again, sometimes by virtue of the success of the Kickstarter, but in doing that, sometimes they compound the delays, far more than they ever anticipated. So there are circumstances that I do think you got to give some people some slack.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then there's also the people that took your money.
Yeah, then sometimes there's that.
There's also issues, and I think especially the past couple of years, logistically, have been pretty terrible for a lot of self-published comics. Working with any kind of public, printing houses right now, or if they're having to import anything from overseas or even from Canada, has just been pretty awful the past couple of years.
I mean the paper shortages have even affected Marvel. They had to ship
if Marvel's having trouble getting their books from the Montreal printers, I mean, imagine somebody who did a $5,000 Kickstarter or a $10,000 Kickstarter getting their books anytime soon. So it's especially the past couple of years, it's been pretty understandable for a lot.
John, as somebody who is working at a comic book store currently, did you get any uproar over those Marvel delays, or?
Not as much. No, our customers are pretty calm. In situations such as these, and you have to understand, we have those rough winters out here, and so we're quite accustomed to. We're kind of like the last hope. We're the only outpost in the area, and so I got to give it up to my customers. We're a very patient lot most of the time, because of the elements. So it's fine.
So when that reader comes in, they shoot off the death Jawas, and they want their comic book entertainment. They don't mind that it's a week delayed. Okay, that's cool.
Most of the time, we did get a few rotten.
So hung up on death Jawas now. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Utini motherfuckers.
Utini motherfuckers. I can't do a Jawa imitation. Can anybody among us? Yeah. All right, we're going to start wrapping this episode up, and when we wrap an episode of the Comic Book Bears podcast up, we do so with a segment we call the Woofs of the Week segment. And the bear community, if you find a fella attractive, you woof at him, and we do something similar here where we signify, you can conceptually call it a woof, where we spotlight something that may be a comic book, but it may also be a film or a TV program or a charitable initiative, anything under the sun that we think you, fair listener or viewer, may be interested in the sampling. We have a guest in tow, so we'll start with John. John, what is your woof of the week?
Oh man. Well, I have something here. It's a little racy, but I actually wanted to go a different direction, if that's cool. And if you want to see the other thing, I can show it to you. But, my woof of the week, I did the Bears are all friends with me on Facebook. I did this monster post. I thank Bill personally about this. But my woof of the week really is this community, this awesome community that you have built through this show. And what I mean by that is that, as a gay dude living in South Dakota, and then you get these dark times with COVID and everything else, I met this show during that dark time, and I tell Bill this all the time. You guys are such a lighthouse, and I trust that other viewers maybe have had the same experience. And what you guys do here is so cool and empowering, and it was so fun for me to get to meet other dudes that are just like me that get it. And we just click. Like, Caleb and I have never met in person. Okay, let's go have cocktails in the hotel bar. It's fine.
Yep.
And that's what it is. And I adore all of you. We're all different, but we have these commonalities that are super cool. and it's such a neat community. Everybody in the comments, it's been fun to get to hear from you guys, not just this show but other shows, and even when I'm just a viewer. So it's such a cool community. So my woof of the week goes out to Comic Book Bears for your years of service, for everything that you bring, to our days and our lives, and that sense of community. So thank you.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I still want to know what the racing thing was, though.
I do. So I'm a materialistic bitch. So I did get this. I don't know how much of this cover you want to see on this show, but I got the massive book, and it's beautiful and pretty, and oh yeah, get it, girl. And so it's funny. We saw this in the order form, and my coworker man was like, "I'm totally ordering this, and you'll buy it." And I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." When it came in, I was just like, I totally forgot we ordered this. I'm so excited, what's funny though is my reasoning for this is actually a little different. Visually, it's hot, it's attractive stories and all that. But having lived in Japan, I've always had these questions of, what is it like to be a me over in Japan, culturally and so forth. And I flipped through this, and it does a really good job of highlighting kind of the who's who are the big players, what are the publications, what do they look like over there that highlight bear males or the gay lifestyle in general. And this does a really good job of that. So in a way, this is Marvel's Epic collections do a beautiful job of lining up material. And this is the same thing. There's going to be stories in here that are racy and all that, but there's a ton of information as well that I'm excited to dig into and just learn more. And so I'm kind of geeking out about this, but yeah.
Okay. We're going to move over to Steve. Steve, what is your woof of the week?
Well, I was kind of thinking, there are so many things that I usually have sort of lined up to choose from. My woof of the week, I'm kind of do a two-parter here. One, I'm just so grateful for you guys. Even though I wasn't able to join you in person, I love being able to hear about your adventures, what you were doing, getting to, follow along with all the piles of comics, John, that you had, and just, getting to see the pictures, Caleb, that you had lined up. I think we didn't even show one picture. I don't know, Bill, if you wanted to wait until you
save that for very soon.
But I loved being able to see how much fun you guys were having, and yes, I was disappointed I didn't get to join you, but at the same time, it warmed my heart to see people that I care about, that I talk to every single day, just having the time of their lives and getting to really enjoy something that we all collectively love, and that's comics. That's why we're here. And so that was something I really loved, and that's kind of like my big woof. My little minor woof, though, is of course a TV show, because I can't help myself, and it is it is the show Ellie and Natasha. Now, Ellie and Natasha is
I'm disappointed. I thought it was going to be Dark Side of the 90s season 2.
See, that was my other choice, and I'll save that for a future. I'll save that for a future episode.
Okay.
Because while it's only on episode 3 right now, we'll have more to talk about and I'll have more to gush over. But Ellie and Natasha is basically, it is from two wonderful comedians that I love, including Natasha Dimitriou of What We Do in the Shadows fame. For those of us on this side of the Atlantic, Natasha's been in a lot of other stuff, for UK viewers and listeners. But these two put together a really great sketch show with some amazingly ridiculous characters that I absolutely love. It's a short show. I believe it's on, I want to say, is it Dave, maybe? One of the channels over there. Obviously, I watch it a little bit differently, but they are hilarious. They're wonderful. There's guest appearances by Natasha's brother, Jamie Dimitriou, and there's a few other people that are recognizable from different productions and different UK shows. But just, it's so much fun. Oh, and Matt Berry. Matt Berry makes a blink and you miss it appearance in one sketch, and it's hilarious because he purposefully keeps as much of his face pointed away from the camera as possible, and then he's gone. But it's wonderful seeing them together, on the show that is not What We Do in the Shadows. But I love it. If you have a chance to see it, go and seek it out. Ellie and Natasha, available right now. I think all 6 episodes have been released. So
nice.
Good to go. Anyway.
All right, over to Caleb. Caleb, what is your wolf of the week?
I'll carry on with the sentimentality. Why not? So my wolf of the week goes out to the big hugs that I finally got to get from Bill and John, and for the rain check on the hug I'm going to get from Steve and Brian one day. To all the staff of HeroesCon, people who made that happen, to the literally dozens of friends, of online friends from comic communities just like this who converged. I'm not joking when I say dozens of people like that we know, that we talk to all the time, finally getting to see each other in one spot from literally across the globe. That's awesome. Obviously, to the people who didn't get to make it, like Steve, you weren't able to come. Our buddy Hassan was not able to come.
This is
But
hysterical.
we had a little foresight with him. We knew he was not
Yeah.
going to be able to come. It was his birthday week. So he needed to do some family stuff with his family. His daughters and his wife were like, yeah, like you're going to be here with us for your birthday, right? And he was like, yeah. But because we missed him, I went ahead and ordered a giant Hassan head and put it out and just bebopped it around the con with me. Took a bunch of pictures with all of his friends and creators that he liked. So Wolf of the Week goes out to Hassan. And then just because we are a comic show, I actually was going to speak on a book 3 weeks ago. Something came up at the last minute. I literally had to cancel, text Steve and Bill at the last minute and be like, hey, I know we're starting in 30 minutes, but I can't be on the show tonight. And that book was a graphic novel from Drawn and Quarterly that I read and that I hope you all are able to pick up and get a chance to read. It's called Walk Me to the Corner. This is by a Swedish comic creator named Anneli Fumark. It's a fantastic story. It's about this woman named Elise. She's Swedish. She's in her mid-50s. She's had a great life. Her husband, they've raised their children. They're both getting ready to retire. Everything's just wonderful. Like they're getting ready for their golden years. And then Elise meets a woman who's of a similar age at an art show, starts to feeling all these feelings towards this woman and start a relationship with her. And like she's like I said, retirement age. And so this is all very new to her. And so it was, this woman's named Dagmar, and they do start a relationship. It's interesting the dynamics in this because she at least tells her husband, it's like, hey, I'm having these feelings for this woman. Like, I need to explore this. And the husband's just like, I mean, I'm not going to tell you no, but we what's happening with our relationship, and they're in flux. So it's this very, very complicated, confusing whirlwind of emotions that you get to understand as a reader. Furmark does not make it simple. You get aggravated at these characters. You get frustrated as they're trying to work through this very confusing, very fluidic process. One person does something that you don't necessarily like, but you understand. Like, it's a very complicated nature of the book. That doesn't necessarily end in the way that anybody thinks it's going to end. It ends in a different place. So go check it out. Like I said, Drawn and Quarterly, they rarely will leave you any place that you don't want to be. So go check out Walk Me to the Corner. It'll treat you a lot of different ways.
That's
nice.
I've already put it in. I've already put it on my my list. So
nice.
You have never steered me wrong, Caleb, with your recommendations of your wolf. So I am adding that to my list.
Okay, Steve, can you get that picture ready, please?
Oh yeah.
Yep. So my wolf of the week goes out to the gentleman in the middle here, our friend Brian Newberry. Caleb, am I wrong with saying he was kind of like a booster to your Blue Beetle this weekend?
Yeah, 100%. We roomed together.
Yeah.
He and I, we've been friends for a long time. He's a great person.
So Newberry is somebody else. This was the first time I met him in person, despite having an online correspondence forever, and it was a delight to meet him. And he said he would feel like a failure if he wasn't the Wolf of the Week, and there was no way I was letting that happen. So he is officially my Wolf of the Week. And if you notice, he's holding a shirt there that says Wolf of the Week, and I am going to be putting out a new line of Comic Book Bears t-shirts. It'll have our logo on the front, and the back you can choose either Wolf of the Week or La Bamba.
There you go.
So,
and somehow we have to work Death Jawas in there. And
yes, Death Jawas is it's beyond this show. Oh my god, I just have to see now, because I don't know the extended universe that well, particularly the Legends part of it now. What they deem Star Wars Legends. Has there ever been like a Jawa bounty hunter or someone that's like really badass? I have to ask. Maybe Mike Lovins might know. or
Mike,
Craig.
I know it.
Yeah,
Craig,
Shout
yeah,
out
Craig
to
would-
the
Craig would know.
CBB Star
yeah.
Wars group.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to think. Death Jawas.
Darth Jawa.
Dark Jawa.
Utini motherfucker indeed.
Oh, it's great.
That
So,
is
John,
awesome.
thank you for being our guest. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for joining us at the con. Caleb, it's wonderful to know that you actually are real. And I also have to say, and I'm a bit of a snob in this category here because I'm a former lifeguard, and we basically had to know how to do this. He gives a damn good back massage too, so y'all are in for it. And he had me, and sometimes I'm so tense you couldn't get a nail up my ass with a jackhammer. So he was doing that. He was doing his job really well. So thank you for that.
I got good hands.
Yeah, I got good hands.
I like what's going on here over, speaking of really cool things here, we got John's full black light decorations on view. Look at those. Gorgeous, gorgeous colors.
Can you just show us the Hulk now that you
yeah.
have the lights up? Yeah.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
The new one?
You
can't really see
you
'cause
probably
of my
can't see because
monitor,
of yeah. Okay.
but he lights up real bright. It looks really cool.
Oh,
Very
cool.
cool.
But you know what's cooler, Hulk, is the one that Bill found. Oh my God, this way.
This way.
Right there. Bill sent that to me in the mail, so that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's Hulk with the hammer. So yep.
Yeah.
You see it
He's
right
big
above
Hulk.
the two galacti.
the galacti. That's right. And they're sitting on top of the normal one that doesn't glow. So yeah, I love Galactus.
Oh, and we've lost Bill's sound.
Yeah, Bill, your
Because he took
audio's
his-
gone.
Come back, Bill.
He,
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Where's your headset?
yeah, he took his headset off.
Oh no.
it's not working.
Oh no,
Oh,
It's not
I heard you
working.
that
Oh,
time.
no, I
Let
can
me,
hear you.
let me see if I can do it again. Hold on.
No,
we
it's
can hear
working
you.
now.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh
Can
my
you
God.
hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
You can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll just talk here.
Okay.
There we go.
I've no
All right.
idea.
Again, thank you for joining. We are the Comic Book Bears podcast. You can find us on the Twitter and the Tumblr and the Instagram as Comic Book Bears. You can find us on the Facebook as Comic Book Bears podcast. If you want to reach out to us, please do so by sending an email to comicbookbears@gmail.com. If you want to listen to us, please do so by downloading us through Apple Podcasts. You can listen to us through Stitcher Radio and many of the other podcatching platforms. Until next time, I'm Bill Zanowitz.
I'm Steve Morey.
I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
If you're on the audio version, you're going to hear a woof and an explosion. We'll be back real soon. Take care, everyone.
Wolf.